Hey everybody, welcome back. And here is part two, probably the final part of, let me put this knife down, of these two cherry kind of cooking spoons that I made recently. And what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to kind of maybe work on these handles a little bit. This one's a little thick. I think it feels pretty good on this one. I may want to get it down just a little bit. We'll see. This one I like. Just going to do some refinements on different parts of the spoon and continue to let them dry. They're pretty dry, I believe. And I had to do some emergency surgery on this one. There was a crack developing, and so what I did was I just took the draw knife and just kind of scraped it down, and I was able to get that crack out of there. So that's pretty good. So if you see the grain in here, it's starting to come through a little bit. Hard to tell, but once it dries and everything and I oil it, it'll be hopefully really nice. So it's working out pretty good. Kind of starting two spoons at once, which I typically haven't done in the past, and I hope you guys will be able to see me do some of the carving here. Excuse me. And as the seasons change, I get a little cold, and I hate that. It's so annoying. Let me see, make sure you guys can see. So for this one, I'm just gonna kind of look at it, and I'm gonna try to clean this up around the bowl. It's not gonna be too much with this, just a little bit. And these will be sanded. Carefully, of course. I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see, but it's probably going to be a pretty boring video. So I'm trying to do, again, these things in like stages. So if I'm, say, how I'm doing here, I'm kind of working on this outer edge of this spoon. So I'm only going to work on that with this one, and then I'll move on to the other spoon and do the same area of that spoon. At least I'm going to play around with that and see if that works for me. And see if I like, kind of like this style of carving where I'm doing, multiple items at once. And I actually have two more spoons that I started this week, off camera. That I kind of did those at the same time as well the other day. Not with these, but with at another time. So still kind of experimenting with the multiple spoons at once. It seems like I like it, especially, at least in this case, this wood is green. So I think that helps a lot, which is why, again, most people that are into this carving will only carve green wood only, and I can understand why. Again, I live in the city, so it's a little harder for me to, and I don't have much space in this house with other things going on. It's not easy all the time to get super fresh green wood, and if I do get it, I may not be able to carve it in enough time. But now that I'm feeling better, hopefully I will be able to. So we're just kind of going around this edge here, and I'm going to hopefully don't screw this up, and hopefully you guys can see. No idea what you can see. I can kind of see a little bit. There we go. I think I could actually put this in the shave horse and take the draw knife and just kind of like scrape it down, but I don't want to put that much force on the wood since this thing is getting close to being finished. So I think the knife will work just fine in this case. I can just gently kind of scrape away the watercolor pencil markings, and you know. Stuff was really good to work with. It's beautiful, as most wood is. Put this on my. This would be like a great stirring spoon, general purpose spoon as well. Similar into design that my wife likes. So, guys, I'm going to finish kind of doing this, and I'll come back when there's more done, and I'll probably start working on a little bit more of the handles on these spoons. So let me finish this up a little bit more, and then I'll come right back, all right? All right, guys, I'm back. So here is the, this probably doesn't look like I did anything, but here is the, I guess we'll call it like the white spoon. Very basic shape. I did a little bit more kind of hot, carving out a little bit of this more. This is a very basic shape, and you know, everything doesn't have to look so crazy and very unique. I'll probably try to make a lot of these and sell them for a little bit cheaper because it's not so much of a unique design, although it still takes time to do it, and you still have to, I feel, take into account the beauty of the wood once this is actually finished. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the tool marks in there, and I'll burnish it. Something I've kind of found recently was you can take a stone that has been it's rounded through, you know, being in the water, and just use it as you would sandpaper, and just press down, and it leaves the tool marks, but it kind of compresses the wood fibers down and gives it a smooth finish, not a polished finish like you would get with well, kind of. It's hard to explain, but um, it smooths it out, but still kind of leaving some of the texturing of the tool mark. So I kind of like that. So that will be there, and everything else will be sanded, including the rim here underneath. All this will be sanded, smooth, and then just the texturing. And I'll probably do that with this other big guy as well, which is what I'm actually working on now. So I'm just going to continue to refine this. This is a little beefier because when I split it, which is fine. I mean, I like the bigger, fatter handles anyway. Um, when I split it, this piece was thicker than the other one, so I was able to easily keep this thicker kind of. It's not rounded; it's kind of squared off. People have picked up some of the other spoons, and they feel it, and they kind of like the fat handle. I like, again, as I explained in other videos, I like the bigger, fatter handles. Because it's easier to use, and if you're using this for a length of time, I find that a very skinny handle is just not comfortable, and it isn't comfortable to other people. Again, everybody has different preferences and all that kind of great stuff. I understand. I just feel like for a good utility piece, that you're going to be stirring thick gravy, anything chili, that you need something to grip onto, and that's kind of my thought process with kind of these thicker kind of handles or bigger handles. You know, it's just my thing, my preference, I guess. So I am going to just make some small refinements here that I can see, or where I think I need to make them. And we're just going to do little by little. And again, as I explained, I'll probably do the same thing with this one. Leave the texturing inside the bowl just to give some different variety to the spoons. Give them different looks. People love to touch the spoons, and especially You know, I guess people are surprised at how smooth the wood is. I like to sand up to a 2000 grit, all by hand, and it really amazes me that I I think it's so cool that people come up and they start touching the spoons and they just can't stop touching them. And part of it is doing this is trying to understand people, and you get to see how people react to the finishes, and I think it's actually really cool. It's a cool thing to see, that the texturing of the spoon can really make people feel good. So it's interesting for sure. That's why I like doing this too. It's kind of fun to see what goes on here. So let me just look at this here. Probably need to do more work on the handle than anything. This is pretty thick bowl, which is good. Gives it some strength. And I think I'm going to do just a little bit of work here on the edge here. Not too much. Slowly but surely. And this is just another general purpose spoon. I have a template I made from this, which is helpful, which I think will help me keep costs down in the sense I don't have to worry about design too much. So I think that's another reason why I might be able to offer these for a lot less than I would some other type of spoons. So I'm kind of liking that. I don't want to go too crazy. I think it looks pretty good. A little thin there, but I think it is going to be fine. It's not a big deal at all. Just going to clean up the bowl a little bit. Kind of get the shape that I want here. Let me look at it. Trying to smooth out some of these tool marks just a little bit. Just using the weight of the knife, which isn't much, just to kind of gently scrape. Hopefully you guys can see, I think you can. Gently scrape out those lines just ever so slightly, while still having the effect that I want in there. I'm just kind of rolling the spoon and the tool together, not really putting any pressure down at all. Go to this side here. Same thing here. This one's actually pretty cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let these things dry for even longer. And all right, I'm feeling that. I think that looks pretty good. That's the bowl. Again, similar in design and all that. Those tool marks will be, I'll burnish this, and I think it'll be pretty cool. So now I'm going to work ever so slightly on this handle. I feel that it needs a little bit of refinement. Probably not too much, but a little bit. And this is going to be sanded as well. I did a lot of this work with the shave horse. I'm not going to put a sharp spine on this, just kind of more squared off. Kind of look. Cool. Nothing crazy. Just something that feels good in the hand, and I think it does. Feel pretty good. Just kind of cool. Not sure what I'm doing here with this, but we'll see. Just kind of, not really, I guess not really a detail, but just kind of adding a little bit of shape here, just a little bit. I'm not really trying to get into doing any like chip carving or detail carving on this stuff. It's just not something that interests me to do. I just, I like to carve. I like to take a hunk of wood and just make a tool that people can use and not spend so much time trying to add like little chip carvings in the handle and stuff. People do it. It looks nice. It looks cool. It's not my style. There's nothing wrong with it at all. Whoops. Not knocking anybody. Everybody has different styles. And that's kind of the great thing about being able to have your own style and your own imagination. And, I think that's kind of the great thing. It's kind of more, kind of the same line of thinking about painters, artists that do illustration. And not everybody paints the same way. Some people have a more rudimentary way of painting. And I guess the same could be thought of as in carving as well. And specifically spoon carving, maybe. Or some things are more archaic looking. Other people do very fine work, and it's amazing what people can do. Just not something that I'm interested in doing. And just like painting, some people paint this way, people paint that way. And that's just kind of how the world works, and I think that's a great thing, though. Just going to try to add a little bevel. I've been trying to do this, and it's really hard because I'm just self-taught here and just kind of learning as I go. Just adding like a slight, like, I don't know what they call that. It's a bevel or what it is, but feels pretty good. Looks good. I mean, this wood is really beautiful. Okay. So now we'll try to replicate that on this side. Probably going to fail, but see how we do. I think this will kind of narrow it a little bit. Feel not so chunky in the hand. We will see. I want to tear this out. There we go. Let's take a look. Let's feel it. Oh, that feels a little better. Actually, feels a lot better. Still needs a little bit more work here, but just by kind of, you probably can't even see it on camera, but I just kind of like took the corner off and just kind of, I guess you want to say, beveled it. Hard to tell on camera, but it feels better in the hand this time than when I first picked it up, and that's telling me that's a great thing. So I don't have to do too much to it in a way of thinning it out or anything, so that's kind of good. Let's see. I think that's really about it. I mean, could get a little crazy down here. See what we have. Man, I tell you what, man, this stuff's gonna be so pretty when it's done. When it's sanded and everything. Yeah. All right, guys. So I think this will end this series of these two kind of general purpose cherry spoons. I appreciate you guys watching, and this is just a very small part in the entire process of making these. and these aren't even finished yet, technically. So still need to sand them and all that kind of cool stuff. So not completely done, almost done. And that's it. So stay tuned. I have some more projects coming up. I received a bunch of wood recently, some birch, some pear wood, some pieces of ebony, which is going to be really tough to carve, but we're going to try to do at least one spoon out of it. And so if you stay tuned for that, you'll see a treat. Hopefully, I have some big pieces of birch, which I'll try to make some like really big bowls from those. And so just bear with me a little bit, and we'll get some more projects out there. And I always thank you guys for watching, and I appreciate the support. And catch you on the next video, guys. Thanks for watching.